Hello and welcome, learners. This is Mr. Francis Piri with our today's lesson. That is music lessons. Today's topic, without wasting much of our precious time, is titled Rest. Last time, you remember, we had a topic titled Rhythm in Music, and we discussed musical notes, symbols that represents the duration, the duration of a piece of music in terms of beats, where we discussed about the meanings, the sembrives, the quavers, the crotchets. Yes, so this we never discussed this on purpose because I never wanted you to be confused. But I wanted, first of all, you should absorb that the first stuff, and then I should now introduce to you this one. So that's our today's lesson, rest. I understand some of you have questions saying, what are rest? Yes, it's normal, because whenever you're learning something new, you try to ask yourself, what does this mean? What does that mean? All those things. And of course, some of you have gone even far to have like a suggestion, an idea, just looking at the word itself, rest. See, it's giving already a picture. What can this be? So let's do the comparison, what you're suggesting and the answer that I'm about to give you. So here we are. What are rests? Rests are moments of silence in a piece of music which are measured by number of beats per silence. So these are moments of silence where it's like you were performing. Now you have stopped for a while and then you resume singing or resume performing. Those times of silences, of the time that you were not performing or singing, that's what we call rest. And these rates are measured by number of beats per silence. How many beats have so far passed when you were silent? So that's how we measure the rest. So it's number of beats that have so far passed when you were quiet. So if for example, you were quiet for 5 beats, or you can be quiet for 10 beats, you can be quiet for 3 beats, you can be quiet for 1 beat. That's how we measure those rests. So here, these moments of silence can occur when you're using instruments like drums, pianos, guitars, etc., etc., and singing using voices. So you see, it's whether you are using instruments, drums, pianos, guitars, violins, harps, saxophones, all those ones. You don't just play continuously. There are some moments whereby you are quiet. That's what we're talking about. That's what we are talking about. Those quiet times are what we call rest. So too with singing, you are doing the voices, singing. We don't sing continuously. No, there's some times whereby we are quiet. You have to be quiet to gather some momentum, and then you move on, you resume. Those quiet moments are what we call rest, and they are measured by number of beats per that period of time. So how many beats passed when you were quiet? So that's how we measure the rest. So that's how it is like. Now, this rest, as it was with those musical symbols and other stuff, these ones too have got their own symbols which they represent. Because when you have got a piece of song written on a staff, you are not going to see written words saying you have to rest for 5 beats, you have to rest for 4 beats, you have to rest for 1 beat. No, all you're going to see is there will just be that symbol, and then that symbol, because now you are learning, you're going to know that, okay, here it means I have to rest for such number of beats. Here I have to rest for maybe 3 beats. Here I have to rest for 1 beat. Here I have to rest for half a beat, just by looking at the symbols. So here, the next thing to do, I have to now show you those symbols and what they mean in terms of resting, or number of beats they represent when it comes to resting. But before I do that, let me also tell you that the names of these rates are also coming from those note symbols that we learned, like the crotchets, the breves, the sembrives, the minims, you know, all those ones. These rays, they do get their names from those symbols. So let's start looking at the symbols and the beats they represent. All right, here we are. This symbol is a semi-breve rest. Semi-breve rest. Now, as you can see here, there's a line here going here this way, line going horizontally. Remember, when you move from top to bottom, that's a vertical, but from left to right, that's horizontal. So here we've got this horizontal line going this way. This symbol hangs below the line. All right, so a semi-breve rest hangs below a line, and it means you have to rest for 4 beats. So you have to be quiet, and you have to be counting the beats up to 4 beats. When now the beats are done counting to 4, then it means that rest is over. You move on, you resume with your lesson. So a semi-breve rest means you have to rest for 4 beats. Now let's move on to the second rest. Here we are. We have a minim rest. I understand you, some of you can be confused because they look almost the same. Yes, I agree with you. They look almost the same, but there is a difference somewhere, and that difference matters most, and it's something that brings forth a big difference on its own. So here we are. This one is a minim rest, and as you know, a minim means you have to rest for 2 beats. But now look carefully at the semi-breve. Semi-breve, as you can see, the difference here between a semi-breve rest and a minim rest is that a semi-breve rest, as you can see, hangs below a line. All right, it's under the line, whereas a minim rest is on top of a line. You see, they look the same, but one is under the line, the other one is on top of the line. So a minim rest is on top of the line, and it means you have to rest for 2 beats. Let's move on to another symbol. Remember, we are discussing about rest symbols. So the next rest symbol is a crochet rest. So this is a symbol that represents a crochet rest. Whenever you see this one, just know that it means you have to rest for 1 beat, because a crochet represents 1 beat. Whenever you see this one, just know that it's 1 beat resting. Let's move on to the next one, which also happens to be the last of in our today's lesson. There we are. This one is a quiver rest, and as you all know, quiver means half a beat. So here it means, being a rest symbol, it means you have to rest half a beat. Just half a beat, you rest, and then you resume your performance, you resume your singing. So that's a quiver rest, and that's how it looks like. So make sure you remember, you put in your minds, all these note symbols, so that you don't forget. Once you see them on the staff, it means you will be able to know what to do in terms of resting. Well, on that note, we have come to an end of our today's lesson. Thank you so much for being there and being attentive. If you haven't understood some point in the lesson, just replay the video and listen more carefully, and you're going to understand. Thank you so much. Bye for now.